Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the powerful ideas from James Clear's Atomic Habits, a book that shows how incredibly small, almost invisible changes can lead to absolutely remarkable results.
So let's kick things off with a question I think we've all asked ourselves at some point. Why is it so ridiculously hard to make good habits stick? You know the drill. You start a new workout plan, a new diet, maybe you decide you're going to learn a language, and for a few weeks, you're all in. Then, life happens, and you're right back where you started. So what is going on here?
Well, a huge part of the problem is how we think about change. We convince ourselves that to get these massive, life-altering results, we have to take some kind of massive, earth-shattering action. We put all this pressure on ourselves to make some huge, dramatic leap forward.
But what this book reveals is that the real secret to getting incredible results isn't about that one big moment at all. In fact, the answer is found in the complete opposite, in changes that are so small, so tiny, that at first you'd barely even notice them.
Okay, to really wrap our heads around this, let's look at one of the greatest turnaround stories in modern sports. It perfectly illustrates this core idea. For almost 100 years, the British cycling team was, well, they were a bit of a joke. Their performance was so consistently bad that a top bike manufacturer actually refused to sell them bikes. They were afraid it would hurt their brand if other pros saw the British team using their gear. I mean, that's how bad it was.
But then in 2003, everything changed. They hired a new performance director, Dave Brailsford, and he introduced this simple but powerful philosophy he called the aggregation of marginal gains. The whole idea was to break down everything that goes into riding a bike and then just find a way to improve each little piece by just 1%.
And when I say they looked for that 1% everywhere, I mean everywhere. It went way beyond the obvious stuff like bike seats and aerodynamics. They tested different massage gels. They hired a surgeon to teach the riders the best way to wash their hands to avoid getting sick. They even painted the inside of the team truck white so they could spot tiny bits of dust that might affect the bikes. Seriously, no detail was too small.
So, did it work? Oh yeah, the results were absolutely staggering. Just 5 years later, at the 2008 Olympics, the team completely dominated. And over the next decade, they put together what's widely considered the most successful run in the history of cycling, all from this commitment to tiny 1% gains. And this just reveals the incredible power that's hiding in getting just 1% better. It might not sound like much, but over time, the math tells a very, very different story. That's because small habits work just like compound interest for self-improvement. You know how money multiplies? Well, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them, leading to this dramatic, explosive curve of growth over time. Think about it this way. If you get just 1% better each day for a whole year, you don't end up 365% better. Nope, because of the power of compounding, you end up nearly 37 times better. And the flip side is just as powerful. Getting just 1% worse each day brings you nearly all the way down to zero.
Okay, so if this compounding effect is so incredibly powerful, why is it so hard to stick with good habits? Why do we so often just give up?
Well, the problem is something James Clear calls the valley of disappointment. And we've all been there, right? It's that incredibly frustrating gap where you're putting in the work, you're running every day, you're saving a little money, but the results just aren't visible yet. It feels like you're going nowhere. This is what he calls the plateau of latent potential. The key thing here is that your hard work isn't wasted, it's just being stored. Think about an ice cube in a room that's warming up from 25 degrees to 31. For a long time, nothing seems to be happening. But then, you hit 32 degrees, and all that stored energy unlocks a massive change.
It's exactly like this fantastic quote from Jacob Riis. That breakthrough moment, the 101st blow that finally splits the rock, is only possible because of the 100 blows that came before it. It's a great reminder that mastery really just requires patience. So this brings us to a really major mental shift in the book. It argues that to make progress, a lot of us are focusing on entirely the wrong thing. We are obsessed with goals, winning the championship, writing the novel, you name it. But goals are just the results you want to achieve. Systems are the processes that actually get you there. So if you're a coach, your system is how you practice. If you're a writer, your system is your writing schedule. Goals are great for setting the direction, but it's the systems that actually make the progress.
And here is the punchline. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Just think about it. Winners and losers often have the exact same goals.
What really separates them is their commitment to the process, day in and day out. Okay, but there's one final layer that's even deeper and more powerful than your systems. This is the very core of what makes habits stick for good.
You can think of behavior change as having 3 layers. The outside layer is your outcomes, or your results. The middle layer is your processes, or your systems. But the core, the deepest layer, is your identity. It's what you believe about yourself. And true, lasting change has to start from the inside out.
So here's the key. The goal isn't just to run a marathon. It's to become a runner. It's not just to write a book. It's to become a writer. When your habits become a part of your identity, they stop feeling like a chore. It's just who you are. And this is a perfect example of that shift. When someone's offered a cigarette, they might say, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." They still see themselves as a smoker who's trying to change. But what if they said, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker"? It's a small difference in words, but it signals a profound shift in their belief about who they are.
And that's because every action you take is like casting a vote for the person you want to become. Each run you go on is a vote for, "I am a runner." Every page you write is a vote for, "I am a writer." Your habits become the evidence that builds up your new identity. And that's really the ultimate question Atomic Habits leaves us with. It completely flips the script on self-improvement. It says, don't start by asking what you want to achieve. Start by asking who you want to become, and then let your tiny atomic habits build the proof, one vote at a time.